Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Lucian. Welcome everybody to the November 2022 meeting of Manhattan Community Board 1's Land Use, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee. I'm Patrick Cannell, chair of the committee, along with Laura Starr, who's our co-chair. And our district manager, Lucian Reynolds, is with us as well, helping out our committee. We have one item on our agenda tonight. It is an application by the Administration for Children's Services, or ACS, for its relocation from 150 William Street to 110 William Street, literally just a one block move. And we'll let the applicants describe the scope and impact of the application and the move itself. And then we'll, as usual, go around for committee member questions and then open it up to members of the public if you have any questions or comments. After all of that, I do expect, well, I should say it's possible that the committee will want to do a resolution, and we will then sort of entertain and debate what that will look like and then vote on it. So with that, I want to turn it over to the city team. I'm not sure who, I know we have a lot of folks from ACS and DCAS here who would like to take it away and present, but if you would just, for the record, introduce yourself. And again, folks, this meeting is being recorded, so keep that in mind that it is a public recorded meeting.
I'm going to be the one to start.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hello, hi, I'm Stephanie Gandel. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for External Affairs at the Administration for Children's Services, and I'm here tonight with Lisa Hines Johnson. She's the Deputy Commissioner for Administration at ACS, as well as George Donahue, who's here from DCAS. And so I just want to first thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate this opportunity to meet with you and hope to continue to do so. As you can tell from what we're about to discuss, we already are located in the community for a long time, and so we are grateful to be part of the community here. We just want to provide a little bit of details about our plan to move our headquarters from 150 William Street to 110 William Street, and this would be for the headquarters. Our headquarters has been here at 150 William Street for the past 26 years, and we do currently have 3 floors at 110 William Street. Just very quickly to tell you a little bit about what the Administration for Children's Services does. We call ourselves ACS, but we protect and promote the safety and well-being of New York City's children and families, and we provide child welfare, juvenile justice, primary prevention, child care assistance, and basically supports to children and families throughout New York City. We provide, for example, over 50,000 child care vouchers. Our child protection team investigates approximately 55,000 reports of alleged abuse or neglect each year. There are less than 7,000 children in foster care, which is an all-time low because we really focus our work on providing services and supports to communities. And we now also administer the juvenile justice system for the city, which we didn't always do. We have approximately 7,000 staff throughout the city. Approximately 2,500 of them currently work out of 150 William Street, and the plan would be for all of those staff to move to 110 William. We would no longer be at 150 William Street. While this building we've been in has been retrofitted over time, it no longer really meets the needs of our work, which has expanded and changed really over time. The only way we could stay here would be to try to move people out in phases to relocate somewhere. We'd no longer all be together, and it would be really disruptive to our operations and to the communities, the families, and our mission. So the plan is to move everyone over to 110. I just want to briefly talk a little bit about how that would really improve the experience for the children and families we serve, as well as our staff. Because we'd be able to remodel this ourselves, from scratch, basically, we would be able to make the site really better meet the needs of children and families. So for example, we host parent-child visits. We hold family team conferences with parents and their children, and we really don't have any child appropriate spaces here at 150 William Street, nor really enough space to hold all of these meetings. This would also enable us to have more modern and technologically advanced workspaces. At 110, we'd be able to have separate entrances for staff and from clients. We don't have that here. We'd be able to set it up so that we could actually have better security as well as more appropriate reception areas. We recently renovated an office building in Brooklyn at Metro Tech for our Brooklyn Borough office, and we were able to create a pantry, boutique, a teen area, and we'd really be able to recreate that for the families and really better meet the needs of vulnerable families that come to visit us. 5 of our 18 divisions that would move do serve the public. There are about 100 people from the public who come each day. And we'd also, I think I forgot to mention that we'd be able to have a lactation room. The new space would have the separate entry and elevator. And I think I mentioned that already. And so I'll just end by saying we hope you've seen us as a good neighbor. I don't think we've had any issues in the entire time we've been here. And so we're looking forward to continuing to work with you and to be part of this neighborhood. And we're really open to your feedback and look forward to collaborating as we move this project forward. I don't know if Lisa or George, there's anything you wanted to add.
No? Okay. Stephanie, we'll go through committee member questions first, and I'm going to take a first stab here. So how many employees did you say are coming over in the 18 divisions?
It's about 2,500.
2,500. Okay. I'm sure my fellow committee members are going to ask what are some of the usual questions, if you will, and so I'll leave it to them. If they don't, I will. But I want to ask just a couple of questions about the size of the space that is being consumed here. So, and in full disclosure, we had a discussion with CB1's land use leadership and folks from DCAS and ACS just to try to preview what this move might look like and some of the concerns we frankly would anticipate from the committee and from members of the community. And I want to draw out, if I can, that sort of the size of the space that is being taken. Can you tell us how many square feet and how many floors are being taken?
Sure, I can, but I probably should turn it over to Lisa if you want. Yeah.
Sure. Good evening. So
Good evening.
I can answer in terms of floors. So we're already, Stephanie mentioned, we're already occupying 3 floors there currently. But with the move, we would add or have a total of 26 floors. And DCAS can probably give more in terms of the actual square footage, but those are the floors.
I think it's approximately 640,000 square feet. Is that correct, George?
That's correct.
Okay. Are those 3 floors that are currently occupied by ACS, are those going to be renovated as part of this state-of-the-art remodel from scratch, I think you put it?
I can answer that if you like.
Yes.
Those 3 floors are not going to be renovated in regard to this particular lease. But we've talked to the landlord that after the lease is done and we move in and we're all settled, we'll do a separate agreement with them to perhaps renovate those 3 floors.
Okay, when is that lease up?
No, what I meant was when we sign the lease. So like after we
So once
sign
you-
the lease and
Yep.
they design it and renovate it. So we'll probably move in 2025. So if we do a renovation for those 2.5 floors would be after 2025.
Okay, so post 2025 for 2.5 floors. So how about the other 23.5 floors? What work is expected to be done in terms of remodeling from scratch?
Would you like me to answer that, Stephanie?
Yeah, why don't you go for it? 'Cause
Sure.
if I talk about it, it won't be very technical.
Okay. So we're going to renovate all those floors.
And when you, are those blank boxes at this point? Or and what I'm getting at is how much demolition is anticipated? Is there going to be demolition on all 23 and a half floors plus the other 2.5 at some point in 2025?
Yeah, Patrick, I probably don't have the exact amount. Some of them are vacant, some of them are vanilla box, so I don't have a total. I would say the majority. Yep.
Okay. And then, of course, there's going to have to be, whether they're already demoed or not, there's going to be a significant amount of construction and new build that has to go in, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And the reason I'm asking these questions, and again, for folks in the public, members of the committee, we did ask that a representative from the landlord, from the owner of the building be present. Is anyone here from the ownership or management of 110 William? Okay. In a move like this, there's going to be an enormous amount of construction, an enormous amount of demolition, as you just heard. When the Economic Development Corp had 3 or 4 floors demoed upon their move out at that building, there were months, and I mean months, of nightly demolition compacting from the debris. So this involves 2 to 3 garbage trucks parked out front of 2 rather large residential buildings, 3 large residential buildings right on John Street, with constant crushing from the compactor trucks, constant dust and debris in the air from what was being demoed. Sometimes the street was closed in its entirety. Most times it was just half closed. So you can imagine the traffic backup that happens. It was an absolutely horribly hatched plan to do the demo on that portion of John Street when there were better positioned places where the owner could do that. And so I'm drawing this information out because it is critical that in a renovation and reconstruction of this size and scope, that this owner get on top of it and plan ahead of time how all this staging is going to occur, where the physical demolition is going to occur, because it can't continue to occur for what will likely be at least a year or 2 on end in front of 3 residential buildings, sickening the workers who work there, the residents who work there or who live there. It's got to be better planned out and not from dealing with resident complaints in the moment. The owner cannot just start construction and see how it goes. I know there are other folks from the community, the immediately surrounding residential community, who may want to speak tonight. I hope they will. That is one of the biggest concerns I have, and that's why I was asking some of the questions that I had. But I want to respect everyone's time and see if there are other community members or other committee members first who have questions before we see if there's anybody in the community. Anybody on the committee? Okay, how about anybody from the public?
Joe Lerner
Yes.
wanted to say something.
Please do, Mr. Lerner.
Is there any way we could mitigate what you're talking about, Patrick?
I think personally, I could come up with a couple of ideas. Some of the demolition could happen on the William Street side. I don't know. They have an underground loading bay. I don't know the extent to which the trucks can actually get in there to do the demolition, whether they can do some of it on a smaller scale inside there. The point is that the way that they're doing it, there needs to be a different way. But obviously then there's a new residential building along William Street. That space is going to have to be respected. But we know William Street is wider and is more able to sort of take that that activity than it is on John Street, for example. And DOT has issued construction lane closures for the parking lane on William Street before, so we know the space is possible there. But that's just my observation, and we would need to come up with an actual plan, and the experts would have to weigh in, I would think.
My thought is there's always this problem wherever you do some sort of demolition in Lower Manhattan, because the streets are small or narrow, and there's a lot of delivery trucks and black cars and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And I just wondered how much we could mitigate against what you're talking about, which would be wonderful.
Yeah, which I appreciate. Thank you. Anybody else from the committee?
Yeah,
Anybody?
actually,
Yeah.
yeah. Patrick, I have a question. What percent of the building are you taking over?
I know it's the majority. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's not the whole thing. Do you?
Sure, I could give you a percentage. In a lease, we usually, in the operating expense and the tax escalation segment, we have to put in a specific percentage because it's related to the leasehold compared to the whole building. And in this case, it's 65%.
Okay. And the landlord is doing the renovations for you,
Yes.
your arrangement? Okay. So I guess, Patrick, I think it's really a question of the land, like we're gonna have to, I don't know, can we get something from the landlord about this?
Well, that's why we asked. Frankly, given the bargaining position, I would think that DCAS and ACS are in with this landlord and the size of this lease, and the amount of space that they're taking, they could have gotten them here. I think a decision was made not to try to confuse the application portion of this. Frankly, I think that's a mistake because when you're part of the application is to take a lease, and there are two parties to a lease. But be that as it may, I think in talking with Lucian, there may be an opportunity as well to, and this is what I would propose if we do go down the route of a resolution, to have the borough president try to make that piece of it happen as part of the borough president's review.
Yeah, I'm just asking because, having moved my office in and out of buildings right near there and knowing what a landlord renovation involves and how the landlords play hardball and how, bottom line oriented they seem like the party to reckon with.
Right. And they are the party who hires the demo contractors, and it sounds like in this case the renovation contractors. So
Right.
they're going to be the ones in the best position to manage those components and make sure that they're not a disruption to their neighbors. And that's a documented lack of that has taken place, and it's an historical fact with this building.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, let's see. Sarah Labotny, I see your hand up.
Thanks so much, Patrick. I'm on the board of 99 John Street. So this is adjacent to the 110 William. We've had issues. I'm looking through my emails now. Since 2015, we've had issues with the demolition. They would, if they have an inside DOB noise, they can work until midnight. They use that instead of a DOT outside on the street. So we would have these demolition. I have emails at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. There has never been respect to the neighborhood. We currently have in our building a daycare, and in front of us, we have a special needs school at 90 John Street. And we have another huge building adjacent to 90 John that is a high rise that is getting built. So we need to figure out a way where the demolition trucks, whatever happens inside, frankly, it had never affected us. It's whatever they bring outside. And they've never respected the neighborhood. I think it was Vanquish at one point where we had fines, we had issues, and they started moving everything to Pearl Street because of the amount of issues our buildings. So between 99, 80 John and 85, we've had like numerous issues for now close to 6-7 years with this particular landlord and the way they conduct business. So I agree, Patrick, we need to be, there has to become a plan. We already are building, they're signing actually a petition, trying to figure out if there's going to be any construction happening at 110 William, what can be done and how we can stop it or we have a plan, a demolition plan before the work starts.
Thanks, Sarah. Are there any other committee members or members of the public who wish to be heard? For members of the public, if you're in the attendee section and want to raise your hand, there's a raise hand feature, and then Lucian can figure out how to call you over and get you unmuted. Gerald Matthews.
Gerald, you can unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome.
So my question is, at this point, I heard this young lady before talk about, Vanquish. And again, I'm with a union, I'm with the Carpenters Union, and we see these leasebacks come back, and it goes to blue collar workers that make very low wages, no health benefits, and, not any type of a pension plan, which we have a 4-year apprenticeship program, number one. And we're very trained and very respectful to the neighborhoods. We live in the neighborhoods. We're from the area. I'm from New York City. And, I just wish that you would keep this in consideration. And if it is at all possible to have ACS have us get together with the landlord with a meeting to talk about, fair bidding process in that.
Interesting question. Can anyone from ACS or DCAS respond?
If I may say that if the project is in a city-owned building, it becomes prevailing wage. When it becomes a private building and a leaseback, you're still spending city or the public's money, right? But now it's just into the landlord's hands, and it's cheap labor. Basically what it is, it's feeding an underground economy.
Right.
We're not against this project, but we would like a fair playing field.
I'll just say that because DCAS directly negotiates on behalf of city agencies, George should probably take that question.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure, we make sure that the lease has a lot of information about the compliance of all laws. So any and all
All
laws have to be complied by that landlord.
How about labor standards, which is very important? I mean, are you guys okay if a worker on that job is not making a stitch of health benefits, which means that becomes a burden on the taxpayer for charity care?
Yes, we cite the prevailing wage law inside the lease, and like you and everyone, we want the landlord to comply with all laws.
Is there any way you could, put a meeting in with the Carpenters Union here in New York City and that landlord to discuss? Anyone on this call? I mean, the loophole leaseback is a horrible thing to the blue collar worker that's working on this job, whether it be the demolition and the renovation of it inside, whether it's sheetrock framing, anything that's inside.
I'm definitely writing and taking back that concern and suggestion. I think we're quiet because I'm not sure any of us is the right person to best address. And
I appreciate my email, my phone number is on the sign-in sheet. Gerald Matthews. And I'm with the New York City District Council of Carpenters. If you'd like my info, I could give it to you now. Probably better with a phone number, 917-376-5536. I appreciate that. Thank you, Steph.
got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Gerald. And thanks for coming out tonight and making your issue known. Paul Goldstein?
Thank you. I was just going to say that as far as I know, other groups that may be playing a role in determining when and where work is done and streets are closed are city agencies, including DOT and buildings. So, and, you know, this is not a new issue. We've had this over the years. You know, it was worse years ago when there were fewer residents. But I think even today, there is a perception that, you know, there aren't that many residents around and we don't want to disrupt business. And so I was just going to say that I think any ultimate resolution on this needs to be a little more inclusive. As sensitive as I am to the people on John Street and the nearby people that are being impacted by this particular project, I mean, this is going on elsewhere. I mean, certainly at 250 Water, they start the work at 5 in the morning in total disregard to the community. And, you know, sometimes they work way into the evening. So I think these issues need to be revisited. And it is the job of the community board, or it has been certainly in the past, along with our electeds, to you know, point out that the residents need to be considered and consulted. And, you know, as much as we support you know, new buildings and, you know, keeping the neighborhood up to date, there needs to be a balanced approach. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. And I think that is you know, the community board has been on record many, many times calling for the reinstitution of the Lower Manhattan Construction Command Center, which was great in helping to coordinate a lot of those issues back when we had redevelopment post 9/11. And even when that closed, DOT had their Lower Manhattan Borough Command Construction Command meeting, I think with the Manhattan Borough Commissioner. I think that's also gone by the wayside. So I agree, Paul. I think that'd be a great thing to put in our resolution, and a call to renew something like that with a fresh set of elected officials from the borough president and the city council might try to help affect some change on that. I think that's a great point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Lucian, I see you have your hand up, and sorry for the dog in the background, guys.
No problem. Thanks, Patrick. I just wanted to say that I think that you know, working with the landlord is incredibly important, but we can also ask our friends at DCAS to work with DOT in their issuance of permits for the use of the street for backing the trucks, the commercial trucks with the detritus from the demolition. So I think that there's absolutely a part to play for the Department of Transportation in concert with DCAS. And if there's a better place in John Street, then we should definitely explore that. And DOT absolutely has all the control for that question. So even though it's the landlord who may decide who to hire to take things, cart things away, but it is not in their control as to where and the when. That's up to the city of New York.
Yeah, that's right, because DOT permits have been, you know, part of the problem as well. They're just sort of open-ended and given for months on end for the demo projects that we've seen at that site over the years. Laura?
Okay, so two things. One is I think DOT has hired Sam Schwartz to do that transportation study, the congestion study for our neighborhood for FIDI, and you know, maybe this larger strategy could be considered as part of that, because I'm also thinking of the meeting we had with the Alliance where we were talking about the office buildings being converted to residential, which would also entail a complete gutting of those buildings. So I'm basically just seconding Paul's more global point about a strategy and, you know, a bigger picture for us down here.
Good point. Okay. Anybody else? Oh, I see we have, sorry, Michael Picarillo in the attendee section, Lucian.
Try that again. You can unmute yourself and just begin speaking. Go ahead. You're unmuted.
Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Michael Picarillo, I'm also from the Carpenters Union. I just had a question for George. George, you said that it's going to definitely be covered by prevailing wage.
No, I said that the lease has all of the laws inside the lease, and we cite the prevailing wage law. As mentioned, this particular landlord is doing all of the construction. He's hiring the vendors, etc.
Yeah. So George, you mentioned prevailing wage, but it's not covered by prevailing wage. I'm confused.
I don't think that, because we are not spending the money on the construction.
But George, in a way, you kind of are, because you're giving him the money. Am I correct?
No, we're paying a rent.
Okay. And there's no money going to be exchanged for the construction?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Anyone else? I would be remiss not to ask the folks from ACS to just quickly comment on your expectations for parking. That is, how many fleet vehicles you have now, how many you expect to have when the new center opens, new HQ opens, and what your current placard parking situation is and what you expect that to be when the new HQ opens. I realize it's only a block away, but sometimes that can make a big difference.
Sure, Stephanie, I can take this. So currently we have 22 assigned parking spaces in the area. And because we aren't moving too far, that currently will not change. But we did hear the feedback from the last meeting, and we are going to be assessing if there's any way for us to change those numbers.
Okay, thanks. What's the timing on your application then? I believe it's being reviewed by city planning, correct?
Yeah, so we have our hearing in front of city planning on Wednesday.
Okay.
George might know better what happens after that. That's the last piece of thing I know.
You mean in regard to the lease execution?
Yeah.
Right. So after the city planning, we have to fully negotiate the lease. Right now, it's not fully negotiated. And then we go through the regular program, which is the 824 hearing. And then we have our deputy commissioner sign the lease.
Okay, so I'm thinking for any resolution that this committee might want to do, and then the full board might want to do while there's a DCP hearing on Wednesday. And Lucian, maybe you can help me understand too how that fits with the borough president's ongoing review. But it sounds like if you're still negotiating the lease, then with the landlord after that, there's at least an opportunity for the points of our resolution to be considered in that context. Lucian, do you know what the borough president's plan is?
I don't know exactly what their plan is, but the idea would be that they could work with DCAS to make sure that the lease negotiation maybe includes any good points that are made, but more specifically that we get buy-in from the landlord and working through this process. I think that's a personal, that may not necessarily be contingent on the leasing, but just in terms of their ability to use the bully pulpit to bring a large landlord into the conversation, they're our best bet for that.
Great. Richard, then Laura, then Rosa. Whoa, that sparked something. Richard, I think you're on mute.
Right. Question for you, Patrick. Thanks for getting me here. What role does the land use committee, what role is land use in this kind of application? I mean, the issues obviously are very serious and very real, but they strike me as quality of life issues, and I'm not sure I understand the land use role.
So typically, and I'll let the DCAS folks maybe drill down on the actual sections, but typically we get notices when the city acquires office space. That is an application that has to go through a review process. So land use has traditionally been it goes through a community board review process, it goes through a borough president review process, and then through a DCP, Department of City Planning process. That's why it's always traditionally landed with the Land Use and Zoning Committee because of the DCP connection. So I don't, this one though, there's some technicality where it's not a section 195 or 197 notice. It falls under a different section, and maybe the DCAS folks could kind of explain that technicality. But nevertheless, while it's not clear that we have an actual section whatever application, that the agencies have seen fit to bring it before the community board like it would have been in a normal review process. And George, I don't know if you know the specific section that this application's under, but that's sort of the general
Sure.
gist of it.
Yeah, from our point of view, it is the 195 process because this is a new large office space.
And that's the section, I believe, Richard, where we get notice of it and there's a community sort of review, not a community review like a ULURP, but just an opportunity to comment after community notice.
And so it's because it's a city acquisition of property or city rental property.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome. Laura?
Hi, did you say how long the lease was for?
20 years.
How many?
20.
And what is the starting rent per square foot?
We are in negotiations right now, so we don't have a firm number.
You can't say kind of the range you're looking at?
I would say it's within the market.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Oh,
Rosa?
I have one other question.
Sure.
Have you looked at other spaces?
Yes, we have.
And like all of them were in FIDI or were they in other locations?
They were all downtown. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Rosa?
Thank you. Unless the landlord has their own in-house construction and demolition team, wouldn't all of this go under the responsibility of the contractor to actually sort out the specifics of staging and where they're going to need to, apply for space on the street and all of that? This isn't actually, I guess my point is, I think we're possibly barking up the wrong tree. It's actually, and I'm not sure how much sway we would have with the tree being the contractor who is going to create, a work plan for how they're going to move materials and crews and all of the logistics plan, the site logistics. That's not really landlord based.
Well, they would certainly have the ability as they're selecting contractors to make that a condition if they design for it. Then the contractors they selected have to adhere to it. I mean, that's kind of the thinking here. To have the community have to go to the individual contractors to get any relief is, I can tell you, it's never going to work. The contractors who've been on site are the only ones we've been able to try to deal with in the past, and it's completely futile. In fact, the only times we've ever gotten any relief whatsoever is to get the owner of the property to make some concessions and effectively direct their contractors to do one thing or another. I mean, that's really the only way to get it done.
So then is your goal basically with the resolution to stipulate exactly where you are open to having them do the work and then have that be part of their bid process?
I think what I would offer for the committee to consider for resolution is that with the borough president's help, that the owner of the building be brought to the table to discuss with the community how to plan for that. I mean, for the community to offer the plan, I don't know that we have that expertise. But I think we can offer the the problems and then try to work collectively to come up with a solution. I don't know that anybody knows exactly what the solution is going to be yet.
Right. And I'm curious as to whether or not it looks like they have a garage as part of the building. I'm wondering if that might have any ability to participate in this whole endeavor or not. I'm not familiar enough with the building to.
Yeah, they don't have a garage. What they have on John Street is a an underground
Loading dock?
yeah, loading dock.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. And is that of potential utilization to take the stress off the street?
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. I hope that's one option to consider. And again, I don't know whether the compactor trucks, for example, can get all the way in there, but are there means and methods for compacting construction debris at a smaller scale and then, sort of quietly bringing it out? I don't know.
I think for the
That's something
size
I
of
should
this
explore.
project, that's not going to be a realistic option, but okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Lucian?
Yeah, just by way of more background, I've seen elected officials demand of city agencies to not issue further permits, whether they're after hours variances or other sorts of permits. And I've seen borough commissioners and commissioners kind of bend to that demand, based on what they've heard or what they've heard before a process or during a process. So I think that we've seen and heard enough about the actions of the landlord and their contractors at 110 William to know that this is a preventable quality of life disruption, and that just a little bit of forethought on how this is done is going to save a lot of people's minds in terms of being able to sleep, their children sleeping, how they work, and things that are simple as making sure that you have a truck that can go into the loading dock and you close the door before you start loading can really make a night and day difference in how people are able to live their lives. So I think it may not necessarily need to be a complete re-scrambling of what they're going to do, but I think there's just a list of actions that they need to take every time that are going to end up making the difference here. And then in having that discussion with the backing of our council member and borough president really is going to make a difference here.
That's a good point. And you reminded me that there are good examples of ways this can be done with as little disruption as possible. And 28 Liberty, Fosun did it when they renovated their lower level commercial floors. All the demolition happened in their loading bays and out of sight behind closed doors. So it's possible if the space permits. But yeah, having the elected officials to work with those pieces through the permitting process is key. Joe, I see your hand is up.
Hello?
Yes, now we can hear you, Joe.
Go, Joe.
We can't compare this building with other buildings because other buildings like the Folsom people, they had a lot of space, a lot of room, so they could handle it much better. This is I see this is a problem. We just have to speak to the solution. There's no real good solution, but part of the solution is let's talk to the landlord and see what his attitude is. And that will be the key to what we do or what we cannot do.
Right. Thanks, Joe. Okay. I think we are through questions and whatnot. Lucian, one more?
Yeah, just one recommendation that just came to me. I think as part of this resolution is aimed at a lot of different parties, DCAS, ACS, city planning, our elected officials, but I think we also, the committee should also consider asking DOB or elected official to ask DOB to make after hours variances contingent on there being an acceptable community plan. for how this is carried out. I think if we create a recipe for success and spell out what that looks like with DOT and DOB meeting with us and the landlord of 110 William Street to figure out how to do this in a way that makes sense before issuing after hours variance and for the street permit for the demo to be carted out at night. I think those, that specific ask would go a long ways making the community whole on this.
Thanks, Lucian. I was just feverishly writing that down because I think it's a really good point and a succinct way to have an actionable ask in a resolution. Richard Corman?
Yeah, I would just kind of follow up on that. No matter what we call for in the beginning, nothing is going to go perfectly. And so I think somewhere in here, we need to also ask for an ongoing review process as the work moves forward, and that review process have some teeth to it, including possible revocation of the permits and the like.
That's a good point. Joe, your hand is still up. Is that from earlier?
No, I'm taking it down.
Okay, great. All right, seeing no other hands, I would propose a resolution along the lines of what we have talked about, noting the size and scope of the project, noting ACS's long history as a good neighbor in the neighborhood, but nevertheless, the issues that have arisen with specifically this owner at 110 William over the years, of which we can cite and document quite a bit. And then the therefore be it resolves would be one, to ask that the borough president as part and other elected officials as part of the city's negotiation of the lease, call upon the landlord to work with the community to develop a plan to mitigate construction and demolition impacts. And then two, as Lucian just pointed out and Richard clarified, to ask our elected officials to ask DOT and DOB to work with the landlord, CB1 and the community, not issuing after hours variances, DOT permits or other permits, and that we have an ongoing review process to make sure that the plan for mitigating those issues is met. That's what I have down in my notes. Does anybody have anything else?
And that this should be a model for other.
Yep. And yes, thank you, Paul. I did forget that.
I'm not available.
All right, we'll vote quickly though, Joe. Yeah, that it be a model going forward, and that I would note in there too the construction command center models that we've had in the past, and that we would like to see something like that again.
Yes.
Because it's a larger issue than just this one project and this one block. All right, with that, anybody else have anything? I'll call the question.
Second.
All in favor? Well, let me say this. So if
Really quick.
is anyone opposed?
I just need everyone's camera to be on, please. Thank you for this.
We'll do this by acclamation. Is anyone opposed? We'll assume you are in favor of this resolution unless you tell me that you're opposed, recused, or abstained. So anyone opposed? Any recusals? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you to the ACS and DCAS teams, and thanks to the committee members and members of the public. That was the only thing on our agenda for tonight. So with that, our meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
See you.